Hey babe, what you doing?
Oh hey babe, I'm just looking at my wall, admiring my books.
Yeah, I know you like to sit here and look at your books. How much do these cost? Like 40, 50 bucks?
Yeah, right around there.
Well, what one's worth the most?
I'd have to say my Daredevil #1, first major appearance of a big Silver Age character like Daredevil. That's gotta be my most expensive book. Of course, that's determined by the market overall, what's popular, who likes which characters, that has a lot of drive in its value.
Well, isn't there more than just money value to them? Like, aren't any of these sentimental to you? Like the one I got you?
Yeah, that book is definitely sentimental to me. You've never bought me a comic before that one in my life, so I would definitely classify some of these under sentimental. That's a great point.
And maybe there's some like nostalgic value, like something that ties you to your parents.
Nostalgic? Oh yeah. Predator, first issue. Pops loved that book too, and the movie, and just everything about Predator, so that definitely has some nostalgia value to me. I really should break this down for people.
Yeah, you should make a video on this. You're welcome.
Thanks, babe. When she's right, she's right. And her, she's usually right. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brandon and you are watching M.O.N.Comics, and this is a video I've wanted to make for some time. Ever since I was recently on the Absolute Game of Nerds YouTube channel, hosted by Rohan and JP, and they had me on to talk about value in comics, and we attacked it from purely a financial value, but it really got my gears turning about like, how do we put value into comics? Obviously there's financial stuff, but I think there's other categories. So I wanted to break down those categories, see if people agree with me, if anyone has any kind of like relativity to this. And then I thought it would be a chance to show books from my collection that are great examples of those categories. Yeah, this should be fun. Without further ado, let's take a look at the first category, which I am calling just hobby accepted value. Okay, hobby accepted value. It exists because it's an accepted major key. Major first appearance, highly desirable, maybe cover. Maybe it's not a key, but it just has a cover that everyone has always wanted and it sells well because of that. Historically significant. It could be example first appearance of the Fantastic Four or a classic pre-code horror cover. A highly desired modern cover like Batman 423. These are values that the hobby has come to accept it in these books because of that. Again, all this stuff is driven by supply and demand of the books. That's ultimately going to boil down to what they cost. But so my examples in my collection, Daredevil #1 is an accepted high value comic because it's a major first appearance of a Silver Age character in Marvel's history. But besides, Daredevil, this is one example. Another one of hobby accepted value because of a major first appearance would be Fantastic Four 49, first appearance of Galactus. So both of these books, there's not as many as a print runs as the Bronze Age titles like Hulk 181 or Amazing Spider-Man 129. So they are lower in how many are left just because of their age, but I would classify these under hobby accepted value because they're major keys. The next category I'm calling rarity / scarcity. Value exists due to maybe a low print runs. It could apply to silver or golden age books that just didn't stand the test of time. They were made with lower quality paper and printing means. And they are desirable characters too within that. So some examples could be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1, very low print run. I think first print is like 3,000 books or less, And then in my personal collection, I think examples of this would be Invincible #9. There's only 100 and maybe 168 on the CGC census of this book in 2004. Invincible, the first like 10 issues were, maybe more than the first 10 issues were low print run. Not to say there's not a lot of raws out there, but like when I was hunting for this book, it wasn't easy to find, especially in a higher grade. I think a lot of the higher grades are slab, but I got this one on my comic shop, and that's where I found this one. So this would be an example of like a low print run. And then scarcity, I think Weird Science issue 19 would fit into the scarcity category. It's from the Golden Age, 1953. You just don't see these pop up often. I don't think I've seen any raw. They're mostly all graded. But when it comes to scarcity, these Golden Age books that just, you know, this one's even a low grade. It has tape on the spine and stuff. Again, I'm looking for something that presents well. So I think for the rarity and scarcity category, these are two books from my collection that would fall under that, that category. My next category, sentimental value. This could be any comic. Maybe it was gifted to you by a friend. Maybe you were with a good friend at a con when you picked it up and it reminds you of that day. Or maybe it was a book your wife or girlfriend gifted it to you for a Christmas or birthday present. Two examples that I was able to pull out of my collection for that would be Daredevil issue 5. This was actually the last book I needed to complete my 1 through 10 Daredevil run. And I got this the first time I met my buddy Mike from Lunch Money Comics out at Albany Comic Con. And there was only 2 copies there. And the lower grade copy, they wanted astronomically more than this copy. And the dealer worked out a great deal with me. And I'll never forget the day that I got to hang out with Mike, who I've been talking to forever, and to celebrate my completion of Daredevil 1 through 10 run with him standing there cheering me on. There's nothing like being at a con with your friends while you're hunting, you know, maybe that book you need for the last year run or one that you've been wanting forever. So I thought this qualified well under it. And then the other one you saw my beautiful wife display at the beginning of the video, but Strange Tales 88. I mean, this isn't a key or anything. It's just an early pre-hero Marvel monster book, but my wife went out of her way to get this for my birthday this past last year. And she doesn't get me comics, and I get it because it's daunting. And, you know, if you don't know what you're doing trying to buy comics, it can be perilous. But luckily, my buddy Ryan, the Colossus Collector, helped her out with it. And I will never forget sitting at the table, like feeling the box and thinking there was a slab in there. And sure enough, there was. So for my sentimental value, a book from my wife and a book I got with a good friend. Next category, nostalgic value. This could be a book that brings you back to your childhood that you had when you were a kid. It just takes you back to that simpler time. Could be the first book you bought as a kid. Could be a book that your parents got you that got lost to time that you want to get back. My 2 examples would be Big Trouble in Little China. Now, this is a modern book. This is, you know, way after I was a kid, but influenced by my dad. We love this movie. And when I found out that there was a run and this run takes off right from where the movie ends, I had to get it and got to continue on the adventures. And I think my pops would have got a big kick out of that. And the other one is Predator 1. My dad showed me this movie when I was a kid. So I am attracted to anything that has to do with the Predator, whether it's toys or maquettes to hang on the wall, you name it. I'll get it if it has Predator on it. But this ties my love of comics and the Predator together because it's his first appearance in a comic. So nostalgia goes right back to my dad and my childhood with these 2 books. The last category I'm just calling potpourri because it combines 2 or more of the previous categories. So for examples, in my collection, The Crow #1. Now this is a low print run from the 80s when it came out, and it's desirable because it's the first ongoing series of The Crow. It wasn't The Crow's first appearance. He appeared in 2 previous books. He was in a preview on the back of Dead World, I believe, from Caliber Press, and then Caliber Press 1 or 10 he was in as well. But this is the one that really people go after. It's desirable because of the cover, because he's right on the front. And this fits under nostalgia for me too, because I love this movie growing up as a kid. My wife and I celebrate this movie. So you can get these books that, you know, encompass all of the categories or hit a few of them, which I think is a really fun part of collecting when you can scratch a bunch of different itches. And then I can't show it off enough, but Marvel Mystery Comics 57. This would go into the rarity scarcity category, but also hobby accepted value, if you will, because of the desirable Schomburg cover. I think that fits into those two categories. It's not sentimental because I didn't grow up with it, or nostalgic, but it fits two other categories. But, you know, put these together and I think they round out a bunch of categories that I talked about. So yeah, guys, just a real quick, fun video talking about how we value comics. It's not always about the money. I hope it's not about the money for everyone, because I don't think this is not financial advice, take it as you will, but comics aren't a great investment. You know, long term down the road, do I hope my kids can get some stuff, you know, money for this stuff? Sure. But I'd rather them just be able to look at them too and say, well, my dad was into some cool stuff and he liked history and history to do with comics and different stuff that was going on in comics throughout the years. So I just thought it'd be fun to make a video talking about comic values and how we value it. Leave me a comment down below, guys. Let me know if any of these categories fit you and how you collect, and if I'm off the mark, or if you guys think I'm spot on. If you guys are liking the content, I would appreciate you hitting subscribe. Supporting the channel means the world to me, and subscribing is the easiest, most free way to do it. Leave a like and leave a comment. Guys, I hope you have a great, safe weekend. Until next time, keep reading those comics.